What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We got some awesome news today. We have more champion rebalancing coming in the upcoming update, and that's going to be Clydna, Void Lego, and we also have Hawkhorn Smash Lord. So let's just briefly look at the kits and then talk about the changes, and then I'll just give my 2 cents about how I feel about it. So Clydna, legendary Void support champion from Sylvan Watchers. She has a sleep on the A1, also fills the turn meter by 15% if sleep is placed on the A2. 75% chance of placing decreased speed and leech. This is AoE, so this is solid for sure. And on the A3, she has block debuffs and revive on death. Her passive ability has a 30% chance of completely blocking the incoming damage of the first hit of an attack, and this occurs once per turn. You can book this up to a 60% chance, which is actually really good. The kit on its own, solid support champion. I would recommend, if you're struggling at Hydra and you have this champion, she would be great there, especially with leech and decreased speed and this heal that you have. Block debuffs is solid. Revive on death also solid. You put her in a protection set, probably be best there. And this, ability to just block incoming damages, so helpful. But let's talk about the changes. So the A1 sleep is not 100%. It looks like it's going to be 100% after the buff, so they're going to buff that up to 100% booked, and the turn meter mechanic is going to be the same. On the A2, she's going to restore 100% of each ally's destroyed max HP and then heal, of course. So she's going to restore max HP. That's pretty solid. And on the A3, she's going to have a cleanse now, which is awesome because we love a cleanse and block debuffs on our support champions. So solid there for sure. Passive ability has a 30% chance of completely blocking the incoming damage of the first hit of an attack on a random ally. I guess it wasn't clearly stated here who's getting this incoming damage blocked. It seems just based on this that it would be either her or all of the team, but I guess it's just going to be random now. If it wasn't already, I'm not sure. Some solid improvements there. They're trying to make her more and more viable for Sand Devil, but I recall her being just really difficult to use in Sand Devil, just based on, browsing what people have tested with her. I don't know that this is going to make her any easier to use, but solid support. In the end game, I don't see these buffs to these champions making a huge difference, but we'll talk about that a bit after we look at the next champ, which is Hawkhorn Smash Lord. So Smash Lord is, that's Longbeard. They look alike. They're right next to each other. Smash Lord is, a cool champ. He's not OP or anything like that, and this buff is not gonna make him OP. Basic kit, the original kit, chance to stun on the A1. He has a cleanse on the A2 and block debuffs, 4-turn cooldown with no chance to skill it down at all. That was what pretty much made him tough to use if you don't have him in Relentless. A3 is an AoE hit, and it pretty much, he sacrifices some HP and then attacks. It couldn't crit before. I believe it's going to be able to crit now. He has a dungeon aura as well. Let's look at the changes. So they're changing the cooldown of the cleanse to 3 turns, and now his A3 is no longer going to sacrifice HP when it hits, so he's going to be able to keep his HP, and he's going to place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is equal to the damage dealt. He doesn't really do a lot of damage. His multipliers aren't crazy. Like, you're not getting a crazy shield from this. You could build him for damage. Maybe War Master will contribute some extra procs from something, may contribute to a bigger shield, but not gonna be a crazy shield. All in all, I think it's a solid buff, especially reducing the cooldown of this skill here, because it pretty much makes him almost unusable. in certain situations, but I still like the champ. I was using him for a while, like a good while, in Doom Tower and in Faction Wars. For this faction, he's actually pretty strong. The boss on 21 is going to, you know, remove all of the debuffs that you put on him and put them back onto you. So he's pretty good there. Give you a cleanse there. You can use him against like Nether Spider and Doom Tower, things like that. But for the most part, I don't see this being a major, you know, change as far as either of these champions is concerned and as far as in-game players are concerned. Now, for the average player, I would say these are some decent buffs, right? It makes the champions a bit more usable, right? Especially Clydna with the cleanse and block debuffs. It's actually going to be pretty huge for anyone that has her. Adding a cleanse into this kit actually takes this champion up a bit as far as support is concerned. Does this mean you're going to be able to use her in more places? Possibly, yes, because a cleanse comes in handy in a lot of places. So I think that these are some solid buffs. I'm looking forward to more buffs in the future. The fact that they've been consistent with this and they said that they would, it's just good. It just feels good to get another buff, whether it's a champ I have or not. I'm hopeful for the future and what Polarium has planned as far as buffs are concerned. Now, we can also look at it from another angle and say, you know, buffing support champions might be easier for them to do. We don't have a DPS that's getting buffed this time at all. Last time we had DPS champs, but I would argue that it's a bit more difficult or counterproductive for them to buff certain DPS champions because you will inadvertently nerf other DPS champions, for lack of better words, but you bring down their value, you devalue them. So, you know, I don't see them making a lot of DPS champions be, you know, on par with what like Narcissus does, what Georgia does, what champions like Taras do, what Rotos does, right? All of these OP champs, we're not gonna, I don't think we will see a DPS champion buff that will put them on the level of what the top nukers in the game currently do. It just, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So I'm not getting my hopes up as far as like DPS buffs are concerned, but general use support champions, I'm all here for it. There's a ton of them that could use buffs. Shoot, there's a ton of epics that could, you know, use buffs to where a lot of people would just have a much better experience in the game, a lot easier experience. I would like to see some epics buffs alongside these legendary champions. Like, I don't think that we should just be buffing Legos. I think that rebalancing needs to happen across the board. That is by definition what rebalancing is, right? So I don't think they should be, you know, neglecting to look at uncommons, rares, and epics as well. So we'll see, you know, what the plan is moving forward. I don't know what their plan is moving forward. I'll probably reach out to our community manager and ask, like, hey, do you guys have any plans on like looking at epics and rares as well? Because there's a ton of champs that are just like one buff away, like one minor tweak away from being just that much better. And I think it'll be great for the game. I think it'll be great for the community, especially with having, you know, some more accessible options be just that much better. We have a few, you know, rares that you would see to the end game that might possibly be usable for you in some areas like Doom Tower secret rooms, what have you. We have some epics that are pretty much equivalent of Legos that we use almost everywhere, like Seer, like your Yugos, like your Volgoths, or what have you. There's a few more Godseeker and Nerees, right? These epic champions that are just exceptionally, you know, well put together, well designed. I would like to see a bit more of that, and not even for my own exploit, but for the benefit of the game and the community. So that's my 2 cents on buffs and these champions. Let me know your thoughts down below about how you feel about the buffs and the champs. But yeah, thank you for watching as always. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys on the next one. Be good and be well.